Welcome to today's episode of the Insurance, Life, and Everything in Between podcast. My name is Adam Brsan.
And I'm Chris Smith.
If you've yet to do so, hit that subscribe button so you never miss another episode. And if you love this podcast, don't forget to share it with a friend or colleague. We greatly appreciate your help and support.
Before we get this thing kicked off, I want to make sure that you get the chance to comment, to tell us what you like about what we're talking about, to engage in the conversation, to let us know what other topics you'd like us to talk about. We want you to interact. We want you to be included. We want you to get excited about the community aspect of this agency and this conversation. And on that note, welcome into November. Obviously, it's November. And if you haven't looked at the calendar yet, I think if somebody asked me what one of my hobbies were, it would be looking at the calendar, right? You used to me talking about it. If you look at the calendar right now on your Google calendar or your Apple calendar or your printed calendar, you would notice that there are only 8 Fridays left in this calendar year. I'm not counting the last Friday of the year. I want you to be able to enjoy that time with your friends, family, or yourself, whoever is important to you. I want you to work so hard until then, we don't have to worry about it. I also sort of included Black Friday. I don't know if we're going to be on with you pre-recorded or take the day off, but realistically, this year is coming to a close very rapidly. And why do I mention that constantly? Because I think it's important for you to take notes and take observational awareness of where you are throughout the course of the year. I don't want you to be one of those people who looks up at their business, looks into their bank account, and one day says to themselves, where has the last week gone? Where has the last month gone? Where has the last year in my business gone? I don't want you to be one of those people. I want you to be fully aware of what's happening and when it is, so that you can be engaged in the progress and development of your career. Today, in this conversation and this content, we're going to get back into the roots of what works. We're going to engage in a positive, uplifting, and motivational Q&A about production over the course of the last week. We're going to unpack interview style, what Adam did and why he did it and what you can do. We're going to get into the conversation as well about Medicare. Adam wrote his first Medicare app this week. There are many of you on this call that should be doing the same darn thing. And there are many of you across the industry right now who are downright terrified because there is probably the biggest disruption in the Medicare space I've seen in the years I've been doing it. Not only are plan changes rampant, not only are benefits significantly different, but there are carriers no longer paying compensation on many different plans throughout the country. So we're going to talk about how that adversity is actually an opportunity and how Adam writing his first piece of Medicare business this week is another sign of something you should be doing. You guys watched it 2 years ago when Ricky got into the field, wrote enough Medicare to take himself to Tokyo. Does anyone remember that? You're watching somebody else do it now that isn't me. And I want to ask you, who is going to be next? So we're going to talk about, even though there's a bunch of adversity and changes in Medicare, how that Medicare situation is actually an opportunity for you to continue to grow your business. But today we're also going to talk about the biggest lessons learned, sticking to what works, staying the course no matter the storm, and recognizing the importance of making that short-term sacrifice and long-term gain. And that's one of the biggest difficulties that a lot of agents face, not only in business, but in life itself. Because once your business day is over, once you're at home and out of the field, you hang up the phone and you engage in the real world around you, delayed gratification can be such a challenge. Delayed gratification comes from succeeding and then not spending everything that you made, but understanding the key parts of this, that you could stay the course no matter the storm, make that short-term sacrifice, recognizing that absolutely unlocks long-term gain if you refuse to quit. So on that note, I'm going to bring Adam on. Now, Adam, I wanted to start off first by asking, what are some creative ways to look for sales opportunities over the course of your week? Because I think a lot of times agents especially struggle to get out of a slump because they're waiting for opportunities to land in their lap or to dial their phone or to send them a letter instead of creating opportunities to be successful. So let's talk about first creating versus waiting for opportunities.
Well, one thing, I mean, yeah, like what you said, sometimes we just need to do what we can to find some sales. If that means maybe going back to our existing policyholders, and that's one thing that I did this week was made sure that the appointments that are started calling a lot of my existing policyholders. Yeah, just a lot of, I'd say the last 2-3 weeks at least. Boy, I mean, I'd really been kind of slumping a little bit and just really didn't really change anything up. I don't know what's going on, just a little bit more difficult to make a sale. And it's not like I'm not good out there. I mean, I put up a lot of premium. So yeah, I think sometimes when you're in a slump, you do need to find ways to generate those sales, and that's kind of like what I did yesterday. I think I told you I wrote 5,000 in premium yesterday, and that wasn't off of any leads. That was off of policyholders and just things like that. So there's business there if you can find it. If you're a new agent, it might be a little bit more difficult if you don't have that book of business that you can kind of lean on to find those sales. But there's other ways to do it. I would recommend for those of you to go back and watch or listen to a prior podcast where we talk about just the different opportunities that are out there when it comes to generating business, not just working leads, knocking on doors around the leads. Even we talk about like the senior centers and stuff like that. There's a whole bunch of just different ones that we came up with that kind of a combination of myself and some other people. But definitely, I would recommend go back and and watch or listen to one of those prior podcasts that kind of gets into that, because it'll definitely help you.
Yeah, I think it's critical to remember that the first 2 years is an absolute grind in your business. And it's doing those kind of extra activities that earn you the opportunity that years into your business, you could sneeze and produce 5K of premium from people that already know you and trust you. It's doing the senior centers. And I was working with an agent doing a ride along, and I was telling him in Baltimore, all of the senior center opportunities, it's obscene. Like if I was brand new to the business, I had a 5-day work week and I needed every dollar to pay every bill. I would be in every one of these buildings every Friday for at least the morning time, giving a presentation, offering some pizza, cookie, crackers, coffee, and getting some grassroots business. For Medicare agents, if you've got a city like that, get out of your fear box and get into these buildings and get that grassroots opportunity so that when you get to the point like Adam's, you can build back that confidence by just getting in front of people who already know you and trust you. And I think that's one of the biggest opportunities refusing to give up gives you. Now, Adam, you asked a question that I guarantee everybody is curious about, because you're not the only person that asked that question. You sent me a question last night at 9 o'clock at night, which proves that 6-figure or higher earners work late and start early. You asked me, what's up with these Medicare Advantage plans no longer paying commission? Is it a good time to get into Medicare? Now, as I had opened with this morning, obviously there's a ton of significant plan changes, plans exiting the market, and now there's plans not paying commissions. But in these type of situations, just like in final expense, when the adversity level increases, the opportunity for success increases as well. Adam, I would kind of describe this moment in Medicare kind of like 2020 and final expense, where all of us were sort of forced out of the field. Many of us were behind a desk trying to will into existence our careers. And people like yourself made it work. So do you remember those moments in 2020 where you had to get creative, work harder, and dig deeper, but can kind of look back on it and say it made you better?
Yeah, kind of goes back to the same thing, trying to figure out ways to generate sales. I mean, it was funny because this morning I was scrolling through Facebook, and I forget one of the different groups out there. I saw a post. Someone said, "I guess I'm going to have to go back out in the hood and sell final expense." And I'm just thinking that's not a bad thing. People all over the place need our help, and it was just so funny how foreign some people are to final expense. Someone else had commented, "Really, people in the hood have money for final expense?" Well, it's like, where have you been? I mean, I'd say 90% of the business I write is in the hood. But anyways, yeah, I mean, this whole Medicare deal, I don't quite understand it because I'm so new to Medicare, but to me, I guess, I don't know, it would almost feel like a slap in the face to me if if I was one who really had been dedicated to writing a lot of business with the different carriers that just suddenly decide that they don't want to pay commissions anymore. I mean, to me, that's just, to me, it just, I don't know, it puts a bad taste in my mouth. That makes me think, like, how much does that carrier care about their people? They
Yeah,
care
the
about their
interesting part
agents.
about that is that there's so much competition in this marketplace. I think we sometimes forget because we're so often competing against ourselves or competing against fake Facebook posts that people make about their income, that these carriers are also in competition with themselves. There's a final expense carrier that's been on the market for as long as I've been in the business that's releasing a new product next week with lower rates to compete with other carriers. What's going to happen in the Medicare space is while Anthem and Aetna make contractions, while WellCare does what WellCare is going to do, other carriers are going to step up and say, I want the business. United Healthcare, the regional players, Cigna, those kind of companies are going to say, look at this gap in the business available. I'm going to insert myself in that block of business. So I'm excited to see what we do and what opportunities come to us. Because like you're watching on these social media groups, there people are afraid and worried about having to actually work. And agents like ours are used to working. Now, Adam, for the sake of those listening in who haven't started in Medicare yet, which just boggles my mind, you had your first enrollment this week and it was late in the day, which is the biggest opportunity to make money. You called me from the home, which is me fulfilling my responsibility. And I pulled over in front of Camden Yards for all you baseball fans, waved off security as they walked up to me, and we walked through the situation together. So can you share some exciting, positive insights on your first enrollment with Medicare?
Yeah, first off, thank you, Chris, for being able to assist me with that, because I am still pretty foreign to the whole Medicare Advantage deal. Yeah, I went through the AHIP and all that other stuff, but to me, that's nothing. I mean, it's one thing to go through and take a bunch of tests and all that stuff, but when it gets down to it and you are actually sitting there with somebody, and yeah, I mean, I didn't really know what I was doing. I knew Sunfire. I played around with it a little bit, but I mean, still kind of learning everything. So I definitely appreciate you being available to be able to kind of walk me through that situation. The lady, she was dual eligible, where she was a Medicare and Medicaid, and like we pretty much just told the lady, like, not a whole lot, nothing really changes with the way you're currently set up, but there's going to be some additional benefits now, some things that you're entitled to. This lady was on a fixed income, and I was able to get her that deal where she's got like another $125 a month coming to her now that she can use for groceries or over the counter medications and just little things like that. I mean, that really just kind of sold it right there. I mean, who wouldn't want an extra $125 a month for nothing? So,
Exactly. And the
um,
interesting part about that is what you said is what I've heard Shannon say, is what I've heard Ricky say, is what I've heard other agents say, is it was a moral victory in the day more than anything else. The day hadn't been going the way you planned. The week hadn't been going the way you wanted. The month of October was kind of a challenge for you, and thank God it's over in a lot of senses, mentally speaking. But it was a moral victory. And I want to hear you kind of share with the social media audience and our agency how that one little win was bigger than walking away empty-handed from another day in final expense.
yeah, I mean, to be honest, I mean, I still kind of went home, yeah, I felt all right writing that one Medicare app, but I still kind of went home feeling a little defeated. Last, yeah, like you said, pretty much the whole month. I don't know, just my production. I haven't changed anything. I'm still out in the field grinding every day that I'm usually out in the field. But it was a tough month. Didn't write a lot of business, and so. But yeah, one thing, yeah, that one sale. To me, I don't know. Something happens when I make a sale where my mind kind of starts moving again, and thinking about other opportunities, which really probably led to the sales that I made yesterday. And then, I even this morning, I'm laying in bed and I'm going through the notepad on my phone and I'm making notes and just brainstorming of people that I know I can go back on today to have a good chance of maybe making a sale. So whether that's like a lapsed policy holder or maybe just a couple follow-ups that I didn't write. That, like, I had one was at Tuesday that seemed like a sure sale. And the lady's like, well, my daughter, she's going to be over in a little bit, she said, and she's got like all my bank information, so come back like a little after 5 o'clock. And I came back after 5 and nobody was there. So I don't know if the daughter just picked her up and they went out to dinner or something and she just forgot. And then, you can't get people on the phone, but I'll go back and door knock that one. That'll be like my last stop today. I usually don't go out on Fridays, but just decided, just kind of the way my month went. Well, heck, I still got I still got a mortgage and other bills, and heck, I need to go make some more money. So I'm
Exactly.
going
And
to
I
go
think
out today and do what I can to. And I bet you, my goal was 8,000 for the week. I hit that 5,000 yesterday, and I'm going to plan on writing 3,000 a day to hit that 8,000.
And you can absolutely do it when you're willing to do a little bit extra to get out of a slump. Like I could imagine in baseball, for example, there's times where guys have to get demoted to AAA, or guys have to take extra batting practice, or guys have to come in sooner or stay after the game because they know if they just keep giving themselves enough opportunity and, like you said, find that sale that reminds them and turns that brain back on, get that hit back into the field, it'll get them back on track pretty quickly. You wrote a Transamerica Express yesterday, and I want to talk about that product. Cheers to Transamerica, because immediate solutions is not really the solution anymore. Immediate solutions isn't designed for quick pay and an instant decision, and it has its place in the market. No hate against it, but I really want to encourage folks to continue to look into, write, and utilize Transamerica Express. So talk about when the opportunity you had yesterday to use it.
Yeah, I really I kind of lean on that and the American Amicable lately. I'd say those are like the two that I try to focus on. Well, I'll be honest, I get paid the most money when I write those companies, so or those products. So that's one focus, and just the value. I've always been about the value, and that's something that the American Amicable and the Transamerica both have, is the Everest funeral concierge service. The Transamerica Express has it, and the process is easy. The application is super easy. Honestly, I think it's probably, I bet it's, I don't know. I kind of feel like it's probably the easiest e-app out there now, in my opinion. I mean, if you know how to read and click buttons, you should be able to complete one. It's
Okay.
it really isn't that difficult.
No.
And you do get, and I like that you get the decision at the end. And it
Yeah.
seems like the underwriting is you know, they I guess what I tell clients is that they look at the whole picture. They're not going to single you out for one little thing, but they look at like the big picture. And a lot of people that maybe would go graded somewhere else, I've been able to get them first day on that express plan.
Awesome. Now, in our final 5 minutes, what are some practical tips you can share with the viewing audience and core agency partners on keeping control of the conversation? Because I think it's so important. And I can see situations where agents lose control of the conversation and other things come up in the conversation that have nothing to do with what you're there to sell. So, what kind of practical tips can you give an agent to control the conversation from the moment that they take that live transfer, the moment they knock on the door, to the moment that says that situation is concluded?
I honestly just I think it's very important to have a set presentation. Like if you're just being conversational with people and you don't have a whole lot of structure, then the conversation could really kind of drift off, and then you're there for 3 hours. And time is money. I mean, nobody wants to be on an appointment for 3 hours. So yesterday, actually, the one that I wrote a couple at one house, and I was actually there much longer than anticipated. I was planning on being home by 3 o'clock for trick or treating, and I got home at 5 o'clock. So sometimes that happens, but for the most part, yeah, I think by having a presentation and kind of going through with that, if they kind of drift off, at least you can kind of get right back on point with having that presentation, and yeah, you just kind of bring it back to where you need to be. Sometimes you just maybe need to take charge a little bit, and just say, that's a great point. Whatever they're talking about, let me get back to what we're talking about here. Sometimes if you feel like you're wasting your time and you're just sitting with someone that just won't shut up, you just need to get up and walk out.
Yeah,
I've
you know
done
what
it.
that's called? That's called the takeaway close, where you literally begin packing your belongings to leave. And if they're serious, Adam, I'm sure you've seen it. The person's like, whoa, wait, I actually want this
Yeah.
insurance. Oh, okay. All right. I really thought you didn't. Then I wasn't going to waste your time or mine. But the takeaway close gives you back the power and proves that you're there to do business and not just make some kind of social visit.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Can you sit down with the guy that just wants to tell you all about World War II and everything else? And that's great. I love our veterans and everything else, but at the end of the day, like I said, time is money, and it's great to hear about your story, but in the end, I got to bring it back to what we're there to discuss and, do what I can to get in and out of there within 45 minutes to an hour. But like I said, if they don't seem like a good candidate and you're not getting anywhere with them and they just won't shut up, I've done it. I put my iPad in my case and I just stand up and you just kind of slowly drift to the door.
I had two of those on Wednesday, I think it was. One of them, I know it was a presentation I couldn't close, but at some point I was done trying to like beat water out of a stone. And the other, the conversation just never started. And I could tell it was going nowhere. I could tell the only place it was going to make me frustrated. And I just simply got up and I walked away. And sometimes they're like, well, wait a second, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm leaving. That there's nothing we can do here. And I think that's okay. I think sometimes you just have to mentally walk out of the presentation, physically walk out, and walk into a better situation. Lastly, in our final 60 seconds, although you didn't get a ton of premium out of the leads, it doesn't mean you won't find them next week. You did something to me on Tuesday that I greatly appreciate. You recognized that you needed more opportunity and more people to see, and you said, send me 20 more of my leads. And you doubled down on this week. And I want you to share some thoughts with the group about when necessary to get out of a rut or to get in front of more people, how you decided to double down on your investment and double the amount of leads you purchased.
Well, yeah, why not? Like I said, heck, I need to make money. So the best way to do that is to have more people to see. So, you had texted me that there were quite a few leads that had come in inventory. And, I was close to ordering some Facebook leads, but, decided, you already had them in inventory. So why don't I just take those? They're readily available and just add them into the mix. So, yeah, I mean, I talk about how you got to bet on yourself. And to me, the only gamble is the wager that you're putting into your leads. So like you said, if anything, sometimes maybe you got to double down and see what happens. And yeah, I mean, I know I still got business there to write. I have an appointment in about an hour and a half with a guy that's a lead that actually I went to yesterday. It was an appointment. He wasn't home. I called while I was there and he was like, oh, I thought they set that up for next week. I couldn't really understand him on the phone or something. He's like, that was about that burial insurance, right? And I was like, yeah. What they want to say burial insurance. Well, yeah, that's what it's about. So he's like, well, why don't you just come back tomorrow morning and we can talk about it then. So as long as he's there, it should be a decent one. I mean, he knows what it's about. Sometimes people, maybe they don't understand exactly what it's about. He knows what it's about. He knows it's about insurance. And as long as he's there, I think I got a good chance of writing that one. So, and I got plenty of others, yeah, I took 40 leads this week. Haven't written anything off of them yet, but I know I will. And that's my plan today is, I got a few appointments set and then I'm just going to put a route together. And I'm going to go out there and door knock them until it gets dark out. Once it's dark, it's time to come home. And, but, gonna do what I can. Like I said, I want to hit that 8,000. I don't throw a goal out there, like just trying to BS everybody. I throw that goal out there with the intention to hit it. So if I tell the whole group on Tuesday that I'm going to write 8,000 in premium, well, I'm going to keep going until, there's no chance left in the week to be able to do that.
Absolutely. And when you double down on yourself on direct mail, which really doesn't ever get old. I mean, the person may eventually die, but the opportunity is always there as long as you stay organized, stay in the field, and stay focused on achieving that goal.
And this concludes another episode of the Insurance, Life, and Everything in Between podcast. If you like what you heard, don't forget to subscribe, share with a friend or colleague. And if you have any comments or suggestions for future episodes, please leave those too. Any input is greatly appreciated. Thank you.